Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always with my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, how you doing, mate?
It's good, mate. It's been a pretty minute, hasn't it? It's been a
It
little
has.
while since we last hopped on together. Obviously, a lot has happened on the international stage since I last spoke to you. But nice. It's nice to be back talking club football, doing what we do best. Villa are back in action this weekend. I missed it.
Yeah, it's been a weird international break. Obviously, everyone will know. I think if you were if you're not from England, you've probably had a decent international break. In fairness, John McGinn, 2 man of the matches for Scotland. Dougie Luiz played 2 lots of 90 minutes, starting both games. Amazing for him. Emi Martinez on the bench for Argentina. Conor Hourihane, I don't think had a very good time with Ireland, but it's been a bit of a mixed bag in terms of Villa. And one thing, Dan, we were mentioning just before we went on air, I think the international break was much more enjoyable when we didn't have skin in the game. Like Jack Grealish, man of the match performance against Wales. What a performance it was, by the way. Brilliant cross with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. That is a partnership which would be amazing to see down Villa Park one day. I doubt it would ever happen, but, Jack pulling up trees, play 75 minutes against Wales in a friendly, which I think as well, before we get into the deep of it, there shouldn't be international breaks during the middle of a pandemic, Dan.
No, especially not friendlies.
No.
Like it was, and I know we can't complain too much because it was the friendly in which Jack got played. But
Yeah,
it just seemed weird, man. Just seemed weird. I mean, I think, look, it's England are seemingly, and I was saying this before we came in, it's like England are seemingly back in that cycle of where like we're not fun to watch anymore.
yeah.
And I remember that period, like outside of the major tournaments. Obviously, there was the World Cup, which I'm having a bit of agenda with, but that's a different story altogether. Do you remember when we went to Spain and we played in Seville at Betis's ground and we battered them 3-0?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Eric Dyer crunched Sergio
Yeah,
Ramos.
I
Yeah.
get that.
What a game.
Sterling scored this amazing goal, and England were like, I was like, wow, like, isn't it finally good? Like we have this. It was like when this crop of exciting talent was first starting to emerge, and what was, as you said, there were no Villa players involved in it. Like England were just like, we were really taking it to these top positions. We seem to have this really engaged and aggressive and full-bodied like style of playing. Like it was just genuinely enjoyable to watch England, and now we've sort of regressed into how it was like pre-Euro 2016 when it's just grueling, and like you feel like England have this bank of talent, but we have to grind the games out. Look, I don't think Southgate is the FA's golden boy. I think that World Cup has done him a lot of favours, to say the least. And I think how long he's been within the England setup will mean he's going to be a pretty pretty tough man to move in terms of replacing the job. I think he's like, regardless of opinion, he's a little while off getting the sack. I don't think it will happen. I think something pretty drastic is going to have to happen before he's replaced. But no, I think what happened with Jack is annoying, but Ty got a lot of minutes, and that was good to see. And as you said, so much went on for the other Villa players. Shout out to John McGinn, because again he's doing bits with Scotland, captaining them the other night. It's a shame that Conor Ireland went out and didn't make the Euros, but he scored his penalty. Matt Doherty, I think, hit the bar. Dougie had a great international break. Emi Martinez, it's just great to see him going away and being with the squad. Bertrand Traore was playing for Burkina Faso. We had all this sort of stuff going on. So as well, it's annoying that Jack didn't get the minutes that we want, and that is the most frustrating thing. It was, overall a pretty good international break for a lot of Villa players, and so there are some positives in there.
And obviously Dean Smith's press conference was this morning. Feels like everyone's had a really good break himself, echoing that kind of sentiment. I think it really helps Ross Barkley not being included in the squad, just extra few weeks on the training ground with the lads. As well, shout out to Jacob Ramsey for England under 20s. He had a really good international break, scored a few goals by the sounds of it, and what a player. Really excited to see him. It's a shame that we obviously got knocked out of the Carabao Cup, because that was his kind of time to shine. Maybe see him involved in the squad on the bench, like we did against Fulham. I think When the FA Cup comes back around, a bit later on in the year, that's when we'll see a bit more of Ramsey again. But really exciting stuff to see. Some nice stories as well about how he constantly stays behind after with Richard O'Kelly to train. It's really positive stuff you like to hear. And it's good to see the club using the socials to kind of give us a bit more output on the academy lads, on Jacob. There was a nice 5-minute interview with Jacob. Just stuff like that. It makes everything so much more accessible. And Villa, I doubt you're listening to this podcast. I really do, but we want more academy content. Twitter is screaming out for it. We want to see these players that are coming through. We want to see games being streamed if possible. These interviews. We want to know that the lads we've got coming through, they may have a chance of making it. And to be fair, JJ is absolutely proving that at the moment. So it's really good to see that, Dan. And I guess as we're going back into Premier League action, one of the big, talking points over the past few weeks between Project Big Picture and Sky Sports has been the pay-per-view for these newly broadcasted Premier League games, which is incredibly frustrating because obviously with how the games are being broadcast and, you guys who are maybe new to the channel or tuned in during lockdown, obviously we had every single game broadcast on Sky, BT, Amazon, even the BBC were getting involved. There was not a single Premier League game that wasn't shown until this weekend, which is incredibly frustrating. And look, I'm not naive to the fact Sky, BT, the Premier League, they need to make money. I understand that. And, from a business standpoint, I can perhaps understand why there were people behind this decision that went, I think we should start charging. But when you've been given as a product that we've been getting, 100%, more value from as consumers, to suddenly take that away and then put it behind a paywall, it's a really poor move. It really is. And I think they thought they could get away with it. But, especially with, depending on where you are in the country, if you're going into another lockdown, your job may be potentially, up in the air, be put on this new furlough-ish scheme. People don't have £15 to pay. And, one of our own, Ennio Luca, again, in the headlines for poverty shaming, essentially. People will pay. Listen, football's a working class sport, and watching live games, and I've had this debate with Charlotte, is that, she's kind of against the idea of season ticket holders. I guess she doesn't really understand, obviously, because she's not really a match going fan, but paying, like you and I, Dan, we're season ticket holders. We pay for the privilege to go every week. Obviously, not everyone can afford to go to games every week, which, I 100% understand. But fundamentally, going to live football and watching your team is and always will be cheaper than paying the packages to watch Sky Sports, BT Sports. You're looking at upwards of, £70 a month to enjoy every Premier League game. Now, I don't know about you, as much as I love football, Dan, and I'm lucky enough to be able to watch that on TV. And obviously, a few months back, was able to go to home and away games. If it was one or the other, it would 100% be watching live games. And, I understand not everyone has that kind of disposable income. But I think the feeling very much is with football fans, they will always find a way. And as I say, look, I'm completely aware there are people who can't afford to go, and which is exactly why this pay-per-view shouldn't be a thing. The value of these games, whilst the monetary value that the TV rights have gone for has stayed the same, the value per game is less because they're getting more games, and obviously that's not what the Premier League want. That's not what Sky or BT want. So we're now in this situation where they've essentially gone, well, yeah, we did this out of goodwill. Now, if you want to watch Villa Leicester, £15, please. Now, I don't know about you, Dan, as I say, I'd much rather, I'm sure there's other ways, and I'm not endorsing other ways of finding this, but it's such an incredibly frustrating situation. And it's a way that these companies can leverage more money out of you. They're going to potentially pick the big games of the weekend. It's probably only a matter of weeks until the Manchester derby's behind the paywall. The big games that everyone wants to see. I'm I know you echo the same sentiments, Dan, but talk to me about that, because it's just so frustrating.
No, for sure, mate. And look, I think we'll come on to the sort of wider issue that is Project Big Fixture in a sec. But I'm going to sort of like a bit of a personal anecdote. Um, and I related to this, man. It's like, so obviously we had the news the other week that Cineworld were going to go out of business.
Mm.
Like, they were struggling and everything. I was like, I love going to the cinema, man. I was like, I always enjoy it. I've done it a few times since, we came out of lockdown and the cinemas open and everything like that. And so, took my girlfriend and we went down to the Cineworld at Resorts World
Yeah.
at the NEC. We were going to go see Tenet because I like
Wow.
Christopher Nolan, I'm a big fan of his films, and I was like, yeah, we'll go see Tenet. I'm looking forward to seeing this. We got there and I was like, yeah, can we have 2 tickets to see Tenet, please? And she was like, yeah, that'll be £34. It was like £17 for a ticket to go. And I was like, no, I was like, yo, for an hour and a half's entertainment for a film that I may or may not enjoy. Like, I'm not paying that. And I was like, you wonder why you're going out of business. You wonder why you're struggling. You're charging these people this money. And it's the same principle.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like, and this is why Enya Luca's, and it's not the first time something she's tweeted has pissed me off. And I'm like, I think I really like that we gave her the platform. I really like that we gave her this position. I really think that we're taking women's football seriously, that we're employing people of stature and of reputation to help our women's team as they make that step up into the women's top division. But she tweeted, for someone that has I was researching, and she was like, she had an 18-year playing career. And she missed the mark so badly.
Yeah.
And it's like, football fans, like, when you buy a football ticket, you don't just rock up to Villa Park 2 minutes before the match starts, sits down in your seat, and then leave 2 minutes before the end. It's the whole thing. It's the going to the pub. It's the eating the shitty fucking burgers outside the stadium. It's like, being there with your mates and being part of the community. And it's like, if you win, it's like going for a few more drinks after. It's like the controversy. It's the discussion. Like, there's this whole day out that makes buying that football ticket so worthwhile, and it's why, like, they are expensive. Yeah, like, what we're students, and so money is hard to come by, and we still find the time to get down the Villa, and like, mate, it breaks the bank, and like, I
It really
think
does.
hey, football is too expensive as it is. I think, especially considering where we've been for a long time, I think some of the prices that I paid in the Champions, like, I went to the dreaded Bolton away day. And I was like,
I'm glad I passed up on that one.
I have this massive corkboard in my room, and it's got all my football tickets pinned up on it. And I was like, sort of, getting a bit nostalgic. I was like, oh, I'm missing going to football games. I was like flicking through all the tickets. I found the Bolton away day ticket, and I paid 35 quid. And I was like, whoa, that's one of the worst days. Like, one of the worst away games. I was like, I paid £35 to freeze away at Bolton. And I was like, what is that about? But look, man, no, it comes back to it's a Project Big Picture, and I think that's a good time to tap into it. I think I'm glad that it's been condemned and the Premier League clubs are getting on board with it. I don't think there was enough done to educate football fans on exactly what it was. Like, I had to, like, before we were coming on air, I was like, I fully had to go and research into, like, because there was the big things we were advertised. It's like reducing the Premier League to 18 teams, abolishing the League Cup and Community Shield. Like, those things were really echoed. But there was so many other layers to it that I don't think they did enough to educate people on, and that I had to go searching for. And when you really get your teeth into it and you see it for what it is, it's so good that it's rejected, but also so concerning that all it took was, a few Premier League clubs to go the other way. I think they only needed 14 votes, and the English footballing landscape could be changed for the worse forever.
Yeah, I think as well, there was some really sort of cheap tricks to try and get people on board for some of the people who did look deeper, like £20 cap on away tickets, free travel to away games, all this kind of stuff. If you can afford to do that at 2 teams' expense in the Premier League, then surely you can afford to do that now. Like, that's something that's been debated for so long. Like, the cap on away tickets, free travel, stuff like that. This isn't a new issue. And I think the big thing with this is the news that these talks had been ongoing for 6 years. So it's fair to assume that this is, say, the 50-something draft of this,
Yeah.
and it still is terrible, which is what's most shocking about Project Big Picture. And I think it's the arrogance of it more than anything, Dan. Because that, look, we're going to save English football by essentially kicking two teams out of the top four pyramid, at their expense. That's where that money's coming from. And it's shameful that United and Liverpool did this behind people's backs. And really, I think it's a sign of the times, really. I think this probably came to fruition around the time where Leicester have won the league, because obviously they stayed up, they win the league. And then there's a real threat that, crap, this could happen again. And they don't want the status quo to be ruined. Now, I live with a Manchester City fan, Alex, my best friend. He doesn't want this. I don't think I've spoke to any top six fans that I know that genuinely want this, because it's taken away the competitiveness of it. You're creating a league within a league that is almost there, but it can still be breached. We're looking at Wolves, we're looking at Leicester, dare I say it, we're looking at Villa, Everton. These are teams that are trying to breach into this top six, with air quotes, because I really don't like the idea of it, of it being a top six and a bottom 14. I think it's quite tedious. It's just a way of making sure no one will ever compete with you, and farming essentially the best talent and prospects that are coming through from the other 14, and taking them to there. Because if this happened, I think we could probably kiss goodbye to Jack Grealish. That's for sure.
Definitely, mate. Yeah, I mean, I think it's such a, and as you say, it's like when you see that, obviously the longest serving Premier League teams, of which there are 9, the top 6, and Everton, West Ham, and Southampton would be getting preferential treatment. So already there, you've got an elite band, and you're adding Everton, West Ham, and Southampton to that, and you say, like, so only if they wanted to remove the Premier League chief executive, they only needed a vote of 6 teams out of 20 to do that, because they have this special power. And like, it's like when you look at it, I was like reading that. So in amongst it, obviously it's Liverpool and United that have put them through, and the Glazer and the Henrys, like 8 games of Liverpool and United's season were going to be solely dedicated to their owners' sole stream, like their own streaming platforms. So like already you're taking games away from United and Liverpool fans, and like so. And like this shows that it's more sort of greed orientated than anything else, because then they're disadvantaging their own fans. That doesn't affect any of the other 18 teams, but there's 8 games, which is a lot, especially if you're taking down to 18 teams. There's a lot of proportion in the season, which again is another stream platform. It's another, like, it's another Sky, another BT, another Amazon Prime. You've got to pay your TV license to watch the games on BBC Sport, and then if you're a Liverpool United fan, you've got to buy your owner's own streaming service to watch the game. Like, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. And look, I mean, you've got to, and this is just a worrying start of, like, and it really woke me up as to what's rumbling behind football. The fact that what we're not seeing, and like the fact that this must have been bubbling for so long, and we just had no idea. And look, like, there's no, I'm no stranger to the fact that, look, there's a lot of money in English football, mate, and with a lot of money comes corruption and all those dangers. And look, I don't think, there's all this sort of, the Premier League is the best league in the world. This is all singing, all dancing, like football pinnacle that everyone. And I do think there's almost certainly a dark side to it that we don't see. And I think this is just perhaps that sort of coming to the fore. And look, the fact that all clubs rejected the movement, the fact that it was almost instantly voted unanimously against, was a sort of glimmer of hope that, not even one team had their heads turned by this. And the fact that good things have come out of it, like, those grants and interest-free loans, which total, I think, 77.2 million being paid to the EFL to help them through the COVID crisis and everything like that. I think that's good. And
absolutely, yeah.
I think the Premier League definitely have a responsibility to help the teams in the tiers below. But look, mate, it's one of those where you almost feel like the less said about it, the better. And I just want to sort of forget that it ever happened, forget that it was ever debated, and that this so nearly happened to the game. But just losing like the League Cup and the Community Shield and stuff like that. And I mean, look, I know the Community Shield isn't exactly premier competition in the world football, but I love it.
It's
I love
historic.
that it's a curtain raiser, and it gets me excited for the fact that you've got the start of the season, but like the weekend before, you've got these two top teams. It's always two great teams meeting at Wembley, and like you've got all the new players on show, the new kids, and it's like this big kind of like I really look forward to the Community Shield, and like I always enjoy it. And like losing those two would be so detrimental, mate. But look, I think, as you said, like you and I could sit here and rant about it all day, mate. But it is what it is. I'm very happy it won't be happening, and hopefully it's a bit of a wake up call. And I don't want to see anything like this happening again.
Absolutely, as you said, the less said about it, the better. It's been brushed away. I don't doubt that something like this may come up again in the future, but I think with how unanimous it has been, people's disapproval, then hopefully it either calls for them to make a better deal or no deal. So yeah, less said about that, the better. But obviously, Dan, we've touched on it. The Leicester game behind pay-per-view. It's
Yeah, I've missed this.
I'm excited. I think just one last thing on the pay-per-view. If you want change, just don't watch it. Don't pay the money. Find other ways, because otherwise this is going to become the normal. But on the game itself, Dan, I'm in two minds as to whether the international break's done us any favours or hindered us. I think, obviously, coming off the back of a huge win against Liverpool, which isn't being spoken about nearly enough as I'd like to. Greg's been mentioning it a few times in our lectures, but obviously he can't say much as his United gets stuffed 6-1 by Spurs. But I think the break will probably allow us to not have got too complacent. I mean, you just got to look at, as we touched on earlier, John McGinn's man of the match performances. Dougie Luiz is kicking it with Neymar and Casemiro and just, some of the world's best ballers with Brazil. These guys have been, essentially at the top of their games for the past 2 weeks, coming back. Really good opportunity to build on this. Obviously, this is second versus third, early Champions League qualification decider, I'd say, Dan. Because as well, you just got to look at the other game that's happening on the Sunday is the Merseyside derby, which again is another clash which is going to directly affect us near this top of the table. So it's going to be a big game. Leicester have had somewhat of a confusing season, I'd say, from pumping City 5-1, 5-3, whatever it was, to losing 4-0 to West Ham. Brendan Rodgers, I don't want to say he's been caught out, but I think things have maybe got a bit stale. Maybe they needed to add one or two more players. Saying that, though, looking at someone like Castagna has, just revolutionised the way Leicester play. They play with this back three now, essentially, which will be interesting seeing Villa coming up against that. Overall, I think this is going to be a really exciting game, Dan.
Yeah, mate, I'm really looking forward to it. So the Leicester team it was a freak result against West Ham, man. Like that 3-0 loss. That they started the season well. They won 3-0 against West Brom on the opening day, put 4 past Burnley, put 5 past City, won those 3 games, was sitting pretty, and then they just capitulated against West Ham. Like it just fell apart. Lost 3-0 at home.
Yeah.
Mikel Antonio just had a field day against that back line. And it sort of then they went into the international break, and it's really sort of, I can't imagine that has had anything but quite a big impact on the squad. And look, there's a lot of players out for this game, so they'll be certainly without Ndidi, Daniel Amati, and Ricardo Pereira, which are three big losses.
Big players.
And then doubtful as well, you've got Dennis Pratt, James Maddison, and Filip Benkovic. So there's another 3 players that you're without. And certainly this Leicester team starts to look really different when you take Maddison out of there and stuff like that. Look, it's not an easy game for us to go and play. We haven't beaten Leicester away since 2006, which is quite remarkable, really. And we haven't beaten them away in the league since 2004. I mean, we did beat them 5-0 that day. Peter Crouch scored a double. Nice. But the thing is with Leicester is Champions League and Europa League football is back next week, people. Rejoice. it feels like it's just left us, but it's back. Leicester have their first Europa League game on Thursday, so they'll have
Yeah,
one eye on that. They play, and given how far Wolves got in the competition last year, I think Leicester will be really looking at this competition like we could, like, not necessarily win it, but they can make real headway. Like,
yeah.
considering what they were doing in the Premier League for so much of last season. I know they sort of fell off towards the end, but like if you're Leicester, you're sort of looking at this like, hey, like we could really go and make ground this year. If Wolves did it, why can't we? So they start off against Ukrainian side Zorya Luhansk on Thursday. So Villa is the tougher game out of the two, but they'll be wanting to start that Europa League game with confidence and really make a name. So there's sort of one eye on that. And when you look at how Villa are playing, I think it will be a really tight game. I don't think we'll get the same Leicester that lost 3-0 to West Ham, and if we do, I'll be very surprised. But Villa, like when you're looking at it, like it's like if we go and beat Leicester or get a positive result there, and Liverpool beat Everton, we might be top of the league.
It's crazy, isn't it? We're in this position. Obviously, I don't expect this to last come the end of the season, although that would be amazing. We have had a few comments saying temper your expectations, and believe you me and Dan are very much tempered, but you can't help but get giddy and excited about Villa sat in second in the table. Kazoo top in the Premier League, and they're going to be paying a lot of money to charity this season with all the goals that us and Everton have scored so far. Brilliant cause, by the way. But no, I think this is a really good opportunity to really show what we've got. And I think it was maybe Ashley Priest who tweeted it saying Smith will be quite upset that there aren't fans there because we got relentlessly mocked at Leicester away. It was horrible. It really was probably one of my worst away games, especially in recent years. That just the chance you're going down, that kind of stuff. They really did hammer us that night. So this is a real good opportunity for Smith to go look at how far we've come. Obviously that we had the League Cup success against Leicester over the two legs. But yeah, as I say, I think, just kind of echoing the sentiments of the Liverpool preview again, this is another really good marker for where Villa are at in terms of performances, because, if we go and beat Leicester, I think it's safe to say, and I know, again, it's early, so I'm trying not to get carried away here, but there's a very, there's a level of consistency within the performances and within the results. Another clean sheet would be absolutely amazing. And again, I think, Grealish will probably come back with a lot to prove. I think there's nothing more that man can do, really, to get into this England team. It looks like it's almost indefinitely not happening. It's clearly a personal issue, which I don't think anything Jack can do on the pitch will change that relationship unless the FA get involved and say, listen, Gareth, you have to play this man, which I don't think they will again. But I think for me, Dan, the key battle is going to be against this potential back three. I think the movement of Ollie Watkins is going to cause players like Soyuncu and Justin, who we've seen slotting at centre back as well. So many just different issues. I think we saw it against Liverpool. Watkins's movement mesmerised Van Dijk. Him and Gomez didn't know what to do. They're used to players like fronting them up, trying to beat them in this physical battle, because I think that's very much how Van Dijk is portrayed, certainly in the media, as this, unbeatable figure. He's like, it's like coming up against Bowser or something like that,
Yeah.
at the very end, like you're not going to beat him. But Watkins was smart about how he approached that. And if you look at someone like Soyuncu, we saw how easily Courtney Horse rattled him. I think it's just the mind games of that potentially a really interesting battle. Seeing him face a runner, Soyuncu is probably the very definition of an athletic centre back, I would say. So I wouldn't say he's too far out of his comfort zone with that. I just think it will be something that he's not as used to dealing with, maybe. Watkins' runs are just intelligent again, and I'm so looking forward to seeing Villa play again, Dan. It's just, as I say, the international break's been so long, and to finally see the boys dying the claret and blue, it's going to be really good, Dan.
Mate, it's been too long. It's been too long, and what a difference a season, mate. How nice it is to say that going into a game against Leicester, that we can look forward to it. That we can
Yeah,
look, maybe expect a positive result. Who knows? And like, look, mate, yeah, just so happy that Villa are back on. Well, I say on telly, on box office. Um, I'm not going to endorse um, potentially illegal ways of watching that game, but don't feel forced to pay £15 to watch that game. There are other ways of doing it, and that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to see Villa fans missing out on watching that game. But look, I mean, hopefully we come away from it feeling pretty good. And I say, mate, as I say, with them, if we win that game, and look, I think, before you asked me that deadly question, like what my prediction is. I think we might draw. I think that's going to be
I'll
the
take that.
outcome. Yeah, no, mate. Wow, yeah, 100%. Considering what this fixture was last season, I take that in a heartbeat.
Carnage.
I think if we drew this game and stayed unbeaten, if we win 4 games in a row, that's crazy. I'm not ruling it out. Like, I think it could happen. I think we're going to go and make a real good account of ourselves. But I think we will draw the game. I think we're going to see a different Leicester side. I think they've got an onus to respond to that. They've got enough threats. When Jamie Vardy had an absolute field day against us last season, so we're well aware of the threats that Leicester pose. But we pose our own threats and we pose new ones, and I think that's what's really important, is that teams that haven't figured Villa out yet. They haven't gotten we still have new elements to add to this team. We still haven't seen Traore at full flow, and so yeah. So excited to be a Villa fan at the moment, mate, and I'm really looking forward to Sunday. What is it? 2:30?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for that team graphic to come out an hour before kick-off, just to build up. It's just it's not very often we've been able to say this over the past few years. Following the Villa and doing this podcast, and that we're so excited ahead of a match day. And while we're still full of this optimism and excitement, I think that's probably a good note to end the podcast on. Obviously, depending on when you listen to this, like the day we're recording is the transfer deadline day. I don't assume Villa to be doing any business. But in a weird twist, Said Benrahma's apparently failed his medical at West Ham. A few people are saying, would you take him at Villa? Well, if he's failed a medical, then no, absolutely not. But just thought we'd add that in. Obviously, Benrahma has been kind of the saga of the summer. Obviously, since the European window shut as well, Milot Rashica hasn't joined. These things happen. They do. If you want to hear more about transfers, Dan and I have done an in-depth one on Villa's incomings, and then a generalised one who we think has had a very good transfer window in terms of the Premier League, going through all their best signings. So that will be linked at the end if you want to check that out in the end card. If you enjoyed this content, please do subscribe. We're growing really nicely again. You're probably bored of hearing me say this, but I think when I was looking at the analytics on YouTube the other day, 70% of the people who watch the podcast on YouTube aren't subscribed. So if you are a part of that 70%, please do subscribe. It would mean the world to me and Dan. We've hit 3,000 recently. We're still yet to outline the giveaway that we keep mentioning, but there will be a subscriber goal for that, and we'll let you know all the terms in that in due course. And yeah, if you enjoyed it, please do subscribe, comment your thoughts below, what your predictions are against Leicester, and like the video. Up the Villa.
Chester's essential to fulfilling this got potential. It's a main man, a hero. He's the main leader of the gang. Chester. Chester. He's the main leader of the gang now. Chester.